Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Production with me, Deji. And today we're going to be talking about Homecoming. So I started watching this show recently. Great show. I saw both seasons. I thought it was really interesting. It's sort of a half-hour show, and it feels like it should be an hour show, just like the tone of it. But there were two shots. There's a lot of shots, but two shots in particular that stuck out to me when I was watching both seasons. One is in one season, and the other one is in the second season. So the first one is I'll actually just I'll just show you what I mean. So the first one is I was reading that it was sort of inspired by the Zodiac, and it's a shot, and this is the shot here. I'm actually going to put my headphones on, that way I can hear what's happening, just like you can. This is inspired by this shot here, and I'll play it for you really quick. Oh wait, can you hear this even? There it is. How about that? This shot right here. Yep. This is a POV shot. It's a point of view shot. And one of the first times I ever saw this point of view shot actually was in a movie called The Naked Gun. It's a Leslie Nielsen movie, and it's this shot here. I won't play the entire thing because it's very long. But basically, you get an idea that this light's on a car and it's going through traffic. And then, you make a gun to things, there you go. And then it starts going crazy onto the sidewalk. And then into a car wash. And you're inside of someone's house. Yeah, this movie's ridiculous. I love it, though. It's great. On a rolling, there you go. Just anywhere, right? And then pulls up to the place. And that's supposed to be that. Anyways, but this it was really interesting because there's one more thing, and I remember I was trying to think of what the movie was, and it was Lord of War. And this movie is called the name of this sequence is called, I think, Life of a Bullet, Death of a Child. And movie was alright. This scene, this sequence is completely CG. So everything else in this thing is not CG, but this sequence is completely CG. And it doesn't quite hold up to time, but you can definitely tell that it's like completely fake. But it was pretty interesting. It was a pretty interesting concept when I first saw it. I was like, wow, I've never even seen anything besides the Leslie Nielsen thing. And so it goes. It's just like being expected. You see someone's like fingers or whatever looking at it. And it's like the life of a bullet, right? It's being transported. Clearly in this one, you can definitely see that this is all CG because these things are moving by themselves. So, and then, this is the life of the bullet. They're going to some sort of militia in Africa. It gets loaded into a magazine, and it's being fired, and then it gets fired into the head of a kid. And so that was that image is pretty crazy in and of itself, but So yeah, so it's obviously this one is CG. The mail room, the mail cart, was obviously it's not CG. It's live action, and what I think that they use for that is something called either a doorway dolly or like a Fisher dolly or whatever. But these kinds of things where it's like the camera's on here, there's a little rack. There's probably with that Leslie Nielsen that movie, they probably had like some sort of like, you know, something that looks like the hood of or the roof of a car with a light on it. And so for the Zodiac movie, they probably just had this attached to the cart, and then that person that was pushing the cart is just holding onto it, and then whoever's driving this is actually pushing it along. Probably not a track, but along because these have wheels. So, and then so this is the scene from Homecoming, which I thought was really cool. This is this episode, I believe, is called Redwood. Redwood. And so it's just like the manufacturing of this. And the visual style of Homecoming is amazing anyways. It's like something to an entire episode by itself, just the visual style. I mean, look at this, it's pretty cool. So they're extracting all the juice from this plant. And this plant is actually, I heard at least, they were trying to emulate a real world plant that's actually poisonous. And it messes people's faces up and stuff like that. So they have this whole sequence where they're putting the substance into the vials, and then they package it up. Let's see here, seconds. I probably should have skipped a little bit forward in this, but anyways, so this is where the packaging comes in. So it's just, they kind of infuse a few different things into it. I think that so this is what I thought was really interesting. So they have this, and then it's like shot for shot, it's the exact same positioning in the same location. So if you were to go back and put your finger on, let's say this arrow, that your finger would never move the entire time. And I think that was really interesting because it's just like a shot that sort of stood out. And then I was like, all right, well, how do they do this? And so this is a similar situation with that Zodiac thing where they have the camera dolly attached to this cart, and the cart is moving around. And they just had to make sure that it was in the exact same position as it was in all the other ones. And it's sort of off kilter a little bit, so when she picks it up, it's like... Yeah, so anyways, so that's that scene there, and I thought that was really interesting. That was a pretty cool visual trick. So the second one, and this is in the second season, and this is there's a few things that Homecoming borrowed from a lot of other things, and that's sort of what every movie does. Really, there's no real nothing new under the sun, and so. The next one's really interesting because it has to do with motion tracking and keeping something sort of dead in the center. And there's a couple examples of this. There's tons of examples of this, but I only have here two. One is from Zodiac, which is the same movies they had some inspiration from before. But so this first one is the bird's eye shots of when the serial killer is inside of this car. And actually just do the theater mode so you can see the whole thing. So this is it here. So you can see if you were to put your finger on that screen too, the car does not move that little area. So, and then it's a little bit closer. But this is just sort of like a bird's eye view, something that potentially a helicopter would have seen. This is completely CGI, by the way. I feel like, and this is a movie, Zodiac, that David Fincher did, and he uses a lot of CG in this. I don't know what the hell this is, but he uses a lot of CG in his movies, but it's very, very subtle, and maybe that'll be another episode too, where we kind of go through a lot of his movies and see what he did that made it easier to tell the story. But anyways, so he uses a lot of CGI and stuff, and it's like sometimes hard to tell when he's using it. So in this scenario, you can kind of tell because it's literally smack in the middle of the frame, and it doesn't move, like not even a millimeter. So you know that's CG. But this is something that's also kind of interesting, and this is the same kind of tracking that they did in Homecoming, but this one is for Beats. I don't know if you've seen this commercial before, but basically Beats use this exact same sort of idea and the same concept when they turn the beats on. So you can hear it. They turn the beats on, and then now it doesn't move. Same thing. You put your finger on that Beats. On the headphone, your finger will not move the entire time. So it's just an interesting concept, just using that tracking to keep the focus on the product. And this is like, when I saw this, I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is pretty interesting. And at that time too, I was like, well, how the hell are they doing this? How are they keeping it so steady? And then but it is just tracking. You do this in your editing software, and it just keeps the thing where you want it. It's the same sort of thing for people are like replacing in Avatar, they were replacing their face. Like they have like little dots on their face. It would just be making sure that the face that they're putting on stays onto the avatar's body or whatever. Same thing here. It's just that the tracking point is keeping it in the center of the frame, and so it doesn't matter where the shot moves or the person goes, they're going to be in the center of the frame. And so if you would imagine the frame being something like this, then you wanted to keep this in there in the middle of the frame, you would have to basically shoot. That's going to be really hard to explain. I'm not going to explain it, but you can kind of get the idea. All right, so this is the Homecoming. This is the next one, and this one is called Meters, and this was like the second shot that I thought was really cool. And so I'll play this for you so you can watch it, but it's exact same sort of motion tracking concept, just used on a melon. And this show's really good because this is like one of the last things, and you kind of don't understand what this represents when she does it, but this is where it starts off here. So now if you were to look at this shot and you were to try to find, and this is where I was like, was kind of crazy to me. They probably have some kind of dolly attached to this cart to keep the frame still, and they probably have, maybe it's attached to the cart, and then they've got something where they're able to pull the camera off of there. But if you look at this little dot right here, this is the dot that doesn't ever move. So put your finger right there. That dot will never move the entire time. Well, until obviously if she puts her hand in front of it. But
How you doing, man? You find everything okay?
But yeah, so that's something that was kind of interesting. So these are the two shots from Homecoming that I thought were really cool. And now I was really trying to figure out what it is that they did in order to get these shots down. But I think that I figured out both of them. So, all right, if this is cool, if you liked it, if you thought it was valuable, give me a like or a thumbs up or whatever it is you want to do. Yeah, and let's not watch the next episode. We'll just stop it there. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.